Hello and welcome to the Knitting Game and Other Stuff. I'm your host Leslie and this is episode 48 and today is January 9th, 2013. I had to think about that one. I gotta put my remote down for my camera. So if you may have noticed, I'm in a little bit of a different area of the house. Things are just too crazy downstairs. Usually my husband and the kids go away to the gym during my record time, and tonight that just didn't happen. So my son was downstairs in his room, which is right underneath my craft room, and he's a teenager now and he's got that big loud booming voice and it just carried through the floor and that wasn't going to work for recording. So I am up in my bedroom and probably the most you will hear besides me talking is dogs in the neighborhood barking because I have my window open. Yes, it gets down to 20-30 degrees at night. I always have my window open. Alrighty, so this is episode 48 and I call it All the Things and you will see why. Probably a better title even is All the Socks. You'll see why. Alright, so first of all, keeping in touch. You know what? I'm going to grab a project while I do this part because I can knit and talk at the same time. Go figure, right? So to keep in touch, just go to the show notes, which can be found on myordinaryjourney.com. My Ordinary Journey is all one word, and there you will find the show notes and the links to how to get to our Ravelry group and friend me on Ravelry, Twitter, Google+, Plurk. I'm liking Plurk more and more and more, to the point where I haven't really checked Twitter in a very, very long time. My Plurks go out to Twitter and to Facebook, but I never really check Twitter or Facebook anymore. I just Plurk. That's where all the action is for me. So unless it's a family member, I don't do Facebook. I don't do Twitter, really. But if you're a Twitter person and you're not a Plurk person and you want to follow me on Twitter to get all my Plurk updates, since they all go to the same place. Anyway, so the show notes. In addition to all the social media, there are also links to all of the vendors that I mentioned. The patterns, not only patterns that I use for the knitting game, but the other knitting projects that I do will be there. Links to different organizations that I'm involved with, for instance, the Fredericksburg Spinners and Weavers Guild. Also, some of the demonstrations that we do, some of those, I guess, cooperations. And then just fun stuff like my shower thoughts in the morning. That tooth sucking thing that I just did, I have noticed I do a lot, and I really want to try to stop doing that. I do it a lot on the show. In addition to getting rid of the tooth suck, I would also like to get rid of the ums, the uhs, the likes. I would prefer to work on my public speaking skills this year. The reason being, my sister is engaged to get married, and I was asked over the holidays. We went to see my dad and my stepmom and my sister this past Saturday if I would like to do a reading, and I think I just dropped a stitch. Maybe not. I don't know. Looks a little weird. Anyway, we'll go on. Anyway, I was asked to do a reading, so I don't want to sound uneducated or like I don't know what I'm talking about. So I will use this forum as an outlet for my public speaking practice. All right, so myordinaryjourney.com is all you need to know. Moving right along, we only had one new member this week, and that is Little Knitter 3, and that's Frances. So Frances, thank you for joining the knitting game. So last week we had our membership milestone giveaway. We had hit 150 members last week, and that was a lot of fun to do that. So I still have to make the bag for the winner. So that will be project for Friday. Very important. There's no birthdays this week, folks. Everybody's parents decided to take this week off, I guess, 9 months ago, because I didn't have any birthdays. So no birthday shout outs this week. Sorry. Speaking of shout outs, so I say so a lot too. Ugh, I'm so bad. It's so horrible. So what? All right. We had Wrap Tuesday, and this week I was wrapped 2 patterns. So I want to say thank you very much to Julie, which is Birdie Knits, for the Daybreak by Stephen West. That is my first Stephen West pattern. And then the Girasol by Jared Flood, and that was from Lisa Last Knit Too. So, and I'm a Jared Flood junkie. I was going to say nut and junkie. So a nut junkie is a nunkie, apparently. So I really enjoyed getting, and it was so funny because I had seen this pattern and I had just added it to my cube like the day before, and that was the one she chose to wrap me, and I was ecstatic. It's a huge, beautiful circular shawl wrap if you haven't seen it, but you can do it in, I believe, a fingering weight and a worsted weight, and maybe in between a DK weight. So you have different options with the thickness, and I think the test pattern, the pictures for the pattern are all done in a worsted weight, so it looks really soft and squishy and cozy. So I had back in December, and I kept meaning to mention this pattern that I received, and I kept forgetting, and I really need to say thank you because it is so gonna be a fun knit. And that is the Alpine Ridge Socks by Emily Milliam, and that's Emily, or AKA Millie, on Ravelry. And this is her pattern, and she went ahead and gifted it to me because I have a hank of her sock yarn. And I told her that as soon as she finished working that pattern up and had it available, I wanted it because I specifically wanted to knit my socks in her yarn using her pattern. So she gifted it to me, and it is Emily has this sense of humor. The front page of her pattern, it's hilarious. So it got me right away, and I was like, oh yes. So it was a very cute pattern page. So thank you, Emily, very much. It's a sock pattern, keep that in mind. Let's see. So the Fredericksburg area podcasters, there are at least 2 of us, myself and Courtney, aka the Fearless Knitter podcast, Stitches Please. We are doing a bi-weekly, so every other Thursday, we are going to have a Fredericksburg area podcast sit and knit at the local Barnes & Noble. So if you happen to be local or passing through the area, it's right off I-95 in Fredericksburg Central Park. It's the Barnes & Noble It's huge. You can't miss Central Park. There's a big sign, and you see it from 95 as you go by. If you're in the area and would like to stop by, we're going to do it from 6:30 to 8, so it's going to be a pretty short one. People have stuff to do, and every other Thursday works for me because every other Thursday I don't have to go to the gym. So that's when we're going to do it. And a lot of the knit nights in the area were always on Thursday, and I could never make them because I was always at the gym on Thursday, but my training got changed to Monday. So now I can make the gym on Thursday. So that makes me happy, happy, joy, joy. So Thursday, so this Thursday, January 10th, from 6:30 to 8 at the Fredericksburg Barnes & Noble in Central Park, right off to I-95 and Route 3. Moving on, the Armed Forces Fiber Fanatics Charity Sock Yarn Club. I am yet again amazed. I was blown away. I invoiced everybody Saturday for the club. And if I were giving away prizes for who could pay their invoice the fastest, I wouldn't be able to make enough bags because everybody paid so very, I mean, I was floored. I was just absolutely amazed how excited everybody is to get the opportunity to join in this sock yarn club. It's so much fun. So, I went ahead and made the next payment to Lisa of Fiber Nymph. She is going to be supplying the February colorway, and that will be based on the Marines. She gave me a sneak, not peek at the yarn, she will, but she let me know that she has dyed up the test sample and it was looking awesome. We decided on a name courtesy of her son, the Marine. He helped named it, so that is just amazing. That makes me really happy that an actual Marine was able to help out with the sock club. Can you believe it? That is just makes me want to cry. So it's all coming together and it's all good to go. The one thing I do have to do is I have to order envelopes to mail everything out in, the poly mailers. So I have to do that like now because I mail it out in 2 weeks, folks. In 2 weeks, I get to mail off the club, the first shipment. I'm so excited. So anyway, moving on. I thought this was going to be a short show. No, this is going to be a long one, I think. So you see me looking off to the side here if I'm not looking down. I try to look at the camera. I'm practicing. Not only am I practicing a new throwing technique, I'm practicing trying to knit without looking at my knitting all the time. At least in, you know, stockinette in the round, it's pretty easy. You knit every stitch. But I'm looking over at one of my Christmas gifts, which was a tablet. And I know a lot of podcasters have tablets that they use for their show notes to show patterns on. But I believe the majority, if not all of them, utilize iProducts, Apple products, iPads. Well, I have an Android tablet with a docking station, which is really neat because I can disconnect the keyboard. So this is my keyboard docking station that I can use, and here's my tablet. This is an Asus Transformer Pad Infinity. Yes, and this is what I got for Christmas, but it's an Android tablet versus an Apple tablet. And what I wanted to do is, I guess, give some hints or tips for the Android folks out there, if there's any of you. I don't know if there is, but I like Android products. Nothing against Apple. I've had an iPhone in the past, and they are great. I just prefer Android products. So, I know especially Diane of the Knittables podcast uses her iPad along with a PDF Expert, I believe it is, that she uses for her knitting patterns and keeping track of her I guess, charts and things like that when she's knitting. Well, I do the same thing, but I have a different PDF program that I use. So I wanted to do a little segment here for a few weeks called Android App Spotlight. So there's a few apps that I use to either produce the show or in my knitting to keep track of stuff. So the first one is a PDF program, and it's called Easy PDF Reader Pro. It can be found on either the Amazon Marketplace or the Google Play Store, but I will tell you right now it's half off on the Amazon Marketplace. So on Google Play you'll spend $3.99 to get the app, and it is a paid app. Or on Amazon, you get it for $1.99. And I have to tell you, sometimes you can even get it for free if you go through the Amazon store, because it'll be one of their free paid apps. And that's how I got it like years ago. And since I bought it once, I can put it on all of my devices. So I had a smaller 7-inch tab rather than the 10-inch one. And it was on that tab. It was on this tablet. I have it on my phone, and I can use the same license on all three since it's all associated with my email account. So that's really handy. You buy it once and then you don't have to worry about it. It's great. I'm sure it's the same for the Apple and iTunes, but I'm not 100%. So anyway, it is called the Easy PDF Reader Pro. I have a link to both the Google Play and the Amazon Marketplace if you want to give it a try. What's really great with this one is you can do annotations. You can do text boxes and draw and leave yourself notes. It does lines. So when I'm reading a chart or when I'm going through a line of text, instead of using the pink highlighter tape on a paper pattern, I use hot pink, like really thick lines to line through the pattern, and it keeps it like on a bookshelf type, I guess, graphic user interface, just so it looks familiar, and it's neat and clean. It's very simple to understand and work. It doesn't require any instructions. There's toolbars right up at the top when you open it, so you don't have to worry about, well, where do I get this menu or where do I get that menu. Very intuitive, and it's great. So that was my Android app spotlight of the week. So now finally we're going to get on to the knitting game. So let me dock this, and I keep saying so, how are you? I'm so fine. How about you? All right, so my verbal tick. This week was the week 3 of the pattern prioritization knitting game, and it was voting between the Heartbreak, the For Good hat, the Vittorio, the Euphrosyne, the Striped Study Shawl, the Water Street cardigan, and the Color Affection. So, in months past, the knitting game has been based on a Top Chef type where the loser is out and a new pattern comes in, and it's only 2 patterns going head to head any one week. Well, I changed it up this go around, and we're doing an American Idol style voting scenario where everybody can vote as much as they want, as often as they want for the week, for whatever pattern. You can vote multiple times for the same. If you have 3 or 4 favorites, you can divvy up your votes. It doesn't matter. What does matter is the lowest 2 patterns in votes are going to be the ones that I decide go next to last in the sequence of the knitting game. So I think the last 2 weeks it was I can't remember what the last one was, but the one that just went in last week was the Slip into Paradise socks. So this week, the lowest two vote receiving patterns were the Heartbreak and the Color Affection. So the pattern that I decided to go ahead and put at next to the bottom of the list, so third from the end, it's going to be the Color Affection this week. And the reason why is because I already knit one. Simple as that. I've already knit one. I haven't knit the Heartbreak yet. So kind of like by default, that one goes out because I already knit it. So, and I do have the yarn to do another one, and I will do another one because I have the yarn. It's going to be my Sun, Surf, and Sun, Sand, and Surf Color Affection. So that leaves the following patterns still up to a vote. And you guys did awesome this week. When I said you could vote as often as you want, as many times as you want, there were 180 votes total. So for all I know, that was like one person. But if it was one person, that one person, you did an awesome job, because it was like, oh my gosh, there's so many votes. All right, so what we have left to vote on for week 4 of the Knitting Games pattern prioritization knitting game is the Heartbreak, the For Good hat, the Vittorio, the Euphrosyne, the Stripe Study Shawl, and the Water Street Cardigan. So, voting for this one will close next Wednesday. Today's what, the 9th? I don't know what next Wednesday is. I'm so bad today. Today was a bad day. Yesterday was a bad day. It was just a bad day. So I haven't been really keeping up on my dates. I can't even do the math in my head. 16th. Alright, so you've got till next week, the 16th. It might be the 15th, I'm not sure. Alright, so on to some updates. Well, the Easy 100th Anniversary Camping Half Circle Shawl was supposed to be a gift for my stepmom, and I was supposed to have it done and take it to her when we went to visit on Saturday for Christmas. That didn't happen. I did laminate a picture of what the shawl would look like, and coincidentally enough, the picture I chose just happened to be in the same color yarn as what I'm knitting it in. So I took the project, I showed her where I was and how much I have left to go and everything like that. So she seemed really happy, and I'm glad. So it was an IOU, but I think it'll work out fine. The Essential Knits knitting game is still resting. I started to price out yarn for the Exotic Draped Ruffle winner of the knitting game for the 1+1 scarves, shawls, and wraps knitting game. So Jimmy Beam's Wool has a kit for this particular pattern. You can, I don't even think it includes the pattern, it's just the yarn. The yarn that I'm supposed to use that is recommended. And I was going to go with what was recommended this time because it's such a different idea that you combine the two to make a different look, that I was just going to buy the yarn that it called for. Well, one skein of this particular yarn, it's a mohair, sequin, and I don't know, jewel yarn, $48 for one hank of this yarn. And then there's another one that is just silk, right? So the kit from Jimmy Beam's Wool that has the yarn that you need for this project is like $74 to $95. $74 to $91.95 plus shipping if I bought it from Jimmy Beans. Yeah, I am not in love with that project enough to spend that kind of cash on some yarn. So I'm going to have to look for an alternative, because I don't know that I would spend that much money on a sweater's worth of yarn. I have, but I don't know that I would do it again. Yeah, seriously, no, not gonna happen. That yarn would have to be made out of pure gold for me to do that. And I'm not. So that is the update for that knitting game. We are going to find some alternatives. Moving right along. Okay, so I have some projects to show everyone. I have some hose. No. Oh, I left one downstairs. I'm not going to get it. Okay, so let's start off with the Vancouver Fog by Jennifer Blafour. That was one of my hose. I finished the first gauntlet, and did I start working on this? I don't think I cast on the second one yet. It's in my little project bag here. No, as a matter of fact, I didn't. So here's this is Gnome Acres. It's a worsted weight in the Arthur Weasley colorway. It's a superwash, 100% superwash merino. It's wonderful. And then these are my ChowGoo interchangeable size 7 needles that I'm knitting them on. So that one I can go ahead and cast on gauntlet number 2. But trust me, the first one's done. It's there's a picture of it on my project page on my arm. The ends are even woven in and everything. So it is a true hoe. Alright, so the next one is my Devil in a Blue Dress sock. So I have finished, and I'm probably not in the right room or wearing the right color to really show you this, but I finished the sock. So you can see, well, I kind of finished it, right? So I cast off, but I still have the heel to do, and you can see that bright pink strip right there is where the heel is going to go. And the project that I've been working on, that I just dropped on the floor, is the next Devil in a Blue Dress matching sock. So I cast on the toe yesterday, and I've made it through the toe increases, and I am working on the body of the sock. And I'm knitting these on my Knit Picks 1.5 US needles, and this is Lollipop Yarns Devil in a Blue Dress. So I was experimenting with new bag designs, so this is my little sock pouch. Not exactly the greatest for Lollipops yarn, because the way it's wound, it would be perfect for a caked center pull ball, but since you pull her balls from the outside, it gets kind of stuck on the fabric. So because it's smaller and the bottom isn't squared, but it works. It's not bad. So I keep the finished one down on the bottom. It's deep, so, but what I like is that I had a customer suggest putting a wrist strap on as an option, so I think I'm going to start doing that for the zippered bags, is give you all the option for a wrist strap. So, and like I said, I was just playing around. I had some extra fat quarters, so I was just goofing off. Alright, so that's my Devil in a Blue Dress socks. So, sock number 1. Alright, so then I got some yarn the other day. I wanted to try somebody that I haven't heard anybody talk about or I haven't used before. So I purposefully went out on Etsy to find a dyer that I hadn't purchased from before. And I found Sunset Stitches, and she's based out of Florida. And I bought this yarn, and it's called Aurora Borealis. And of course, the light up here is not going to do it justice. But it is a shade of green, a shade of aqua blue, and black. And it's self-striping sock yarn. Yes, self-striping sock yarn. You see a theme here. I couldn't wait to cast on these socks. So today is Wednesday. I got the package Monday. I immediately caked this up before going to the gym, and I cast my socks on while driving my husband. Well, I wasn't driving. My husband was driving us to the gym for our workout on Monday. So these I am knitting on my ChowGoo 1.5 US, but they're size 16 circulars, and I'm using 2 at a time. I haven't done 2 at a time. I usually use Magic Loop, but the cables on the ChowGoo are, I don't want to say substantial, but they don't give a really, they like to lay flat. They don't like to kink up. And the only problem with that is when you're magic looping, if you don't have a long enough cable, it will create ladders if you're not careful. So I wanted to use 1.5 millimeter, and I figured 2 at a time would be kind of neat because I don't want a big long cable where I've got the little ears hanging off the edges and they get in my way. So I just got 2 16-inch circulars. I probably should have gone 24. 16 inches, it's a little tight, I gotta admit, but I'm gonna be happy with it, darn it, because I spent the money on the needles. These suckers are sharp. They will hurt you. If I was ever approached and attacked by somebody, I could stab someone with the tips of these needles because they are pointy and they are sharp, like sharp. So those are they're called the Aurora socks. And even though the colorway is based on the Aurora Borealis, to me it screams like Caribbean Ocean water. See, and I bet you can't even see here, like the tip of the sock, the toe, is in the aqua color, and this top part here is the green stripe. I don't know if you can see much of a difference. I can, but the light here stinks. Alright, so on to my next project on the needles. Yes, I have cast on all the things, 2 of which being socks, and I have the Don't Cage Me In socks by Heather of Highland Handmaids. Yeah, I have that on the socks too that I haven't been working on that I should. So anyway, I digress. On to the last project I have on the needles that I'm actively working. It's the Downton Abbey Mystery Knit-Along, hosted by Jimmy Beans Wools. And I am using the Lorna's Laces Sport Mate in the Christmas at Downton colorway. And I have not yet seen the first episode. It is still sitting on my DVR. But I started knitting anyway. It's hard for me to find 2 hours of TV time in this family. So it might have to wait until I get the house to myself on Friday. So here it is, and this is all I've done. Not too much. You can just barely see the pattern down here. I'm probably a quarter to a third way through the first clue. So, but this yarn is beautiful and it feels awesome, and I am happy as a clam. That's the train. I'm knitting these on my Knit Picks size 3. And this is what I'm talking about. See how this cable is so long, and there's a provisional cast on here, and it's just so much kind of gets in the way. These I wish I was doing onto circular needles. So that is coming along swimmingly. So I might work on that a little bit more tonight if I get some time. Let's see. I have no finished object. I have the 2 hose. The stash I already shared with you, the Sunset Stitches in the Aurora Borealis colorway. And that is an 80/20 merino, superwash merino nylon blend. Spinning, I have yet to do any spinning. Maybe that's what I'll do tonight if I have some time, is to do some spinning, because really I haven't spun since Thanksgiving, and with the exception of 1 or 2 like really short sessions. Alright, so the last thing is sewing. As you can see, I think I showed you these bags last week. These are just my wedge bags, the medium wedge. This is what one of the zippered bags look like if you order a zippered bag. I was playing with a new zipper technique, so they are fully lined on the inside. No exposed seams. It takes me longer to do it that way, I think, but I personally love how they come out. So that's why I do it. And this is the structured, it's a soft structure. It's almost quilted. And like I said, I think I will start to add, if you guys want, a little wrist strap up here so you can hang it off of your wrist. So I call this a medium. It's probably closer to what some folks call a large. But it's just a little wedge bag. So I sewed that one, I think last week I showed you. And then this week I was playing with the sock bag. This would be a small sock bag. It is only big enough to do socks, or maybe something in a small fingering weight yarn. But that was something I played with. So getting on to the shop update. I'm going to have a shop update on Friday, January 11th. And I hinted last week that it might have something to do with an upcoming holiday. I wasn't talking about Martin Luther King Day or President's Day. I was talking about Valentine's Day. So I have some fabric that I've picked up and I've had waiting for this occasion. So I will have, this is cupcakes, and the inside fabric coordinating color, it'll be a solid pink for this one. So those are cupcakes. I have enough, I think, to do 2 bags in this. And then I love the conversation hearts. So no doubt I want you. Good for you. No way. Too cool. You rock. Yes. I love you. You rule. Too cool. Good times. Heart throb. So are just some of the little conversations you can have with yourself in your bag and your knitting. So that is the other one. And then the final one I have is some graffiti love. Graffiti love. So just in time for Valentine's. So, and all these, yes, all of these will have a coordinating pink colored fabric, like that color right there, I think, the base of that cupcake. So it works well. A lot to get through. I hope you enjoyed my change of venue. I will not give you a tour. It is not as exciting as Melissa on Hawaii. In Hawaii, not by any stretch of the imagination, so not going to do that. I don't have cool snow like Diane in the Knittables or Heather from Highland Handmaids. That, yeah, I don't have that. You just don't want to see outside. It's warm. I've got the window open. It's like 60 degrees today. Not what it should be for mid-January. I want snow. And I just don't think it's going to happen again this year. But anyway, I digress. All right, folks, it's been a long show. Thank you for sticking with me. If you're new, thank you for joining me. Don't forget to vote as often as you want, as much as you want, for as many patterns as you want. I can't do the knitting game without you, so thank you for those that go out there and do vote. So I hope you all have a great week, and I will come back next week. So thanks. Bye.